I started the replay because I was like, screw it. We can go halfway through the draft because I can get all my analysis in and the time it takes them together to have the draft. And I was kind of hoping that for some reason it wouldn't have that, but oh well. Anyway, second game is well underway, as you can see, and we've got first couple of bands from Legion are Ophelia and Magnus. Hellborn going to take out Cthulhuphant and Skillblade. No huge surprise there on the Hellborn bands, and Mott's feeling like that Ophelia, played by Boss XID, was really, really powerful. Doesn't want to deal with it again. I can certainly understand why. Oph did do a lot of work in that game. Good. Kent code worked. And it's kind of hoping. Well, you said nothing about joining the cast, so what? I don't know what to do about that. It's fine. I like solo casting sometimes, and then I do it, and I realize why I hate it. Anyway, second banning stage is done, as Legion side has picked up Parasite, Glacius, and Silhouette. So three very, very powerful heroes going on WoG's side. Hellborn going to counter with Kraken, Torturer, and Tempest. So pretty much same goes for them, both sides. Getting a bunch of heroes we see a lot. Legion going to ban out Dr. Pulsar, Wretched Hag, and Clanks. So addressing Pingu's Hag, as well as two other potential short lane heroes. Really feeling like the Hellborn have a lack of options for the short lane, and they already have theirs in the Silhouette. Yeah, sending VODs to us. VODs or VODs? I assume you mean match IDs? There was no explicit acknowledgement of let's cast. It was just random stuff about match IDs and stuff like that. I don't know if you just want the match ID. There's nothing in there said cast ever. Sorry. There's some people that would prefer that you didn't cast, believe it or not, Stu. So, just think about that. Just think about that for a second. Alright? Hellborn going to take out Pharaoh, Geomancer, and Prisoner, so two suicide options, and obviously one that counters Tempest pretty hard, as well as the Prisoner option, which takes out the Tempest as well, as they really want to make sure that those Tempest holes are not easily cancelled. Legion side obviously already have a Parasite, so that's going to be a thing that they can't prevent. Facehug does go through Shrunken Head and will silence the Tempest out of his ultimate, but does require Parasite to more or less pick up a Portal Key, because it's really unlikely he's going to have the positioning to be able to cancel the ultimate with the Facehug unless he gets that PK first. And then, of course, he has to sit down and wait for the Tempest to ultimate. Hellborn going to pick up Bubbles in response to the Legion side's rally, so Kelpfield going to be effective at canceling the Seismic Slam, and Bubbles yet another hero that could cancel the Tempest ultimate along with the Kraken, to be honest. So they're putting a lot of eggs in this Tempest hole basket, and I guess that's okay, but it does mean that if they don't get stuff off successfully, this AoE-centric, teamfight-centric, ult-centric team is not going to do very well. And you look at the Legion side, very much more gank-oriented. Silhouette, one of the more gank-oriented carry heroes. Parasite and Rally obviously definitely fit that mold, and they're soft picking a Chronos here, which I don't think is a great idea. That seems pretty damn greedy, to put Glacius, Parasite, Rally, and Chronos all on the same team. Those are four heroes that are all going to require some degree of farm. Parasite wants this puzzle box, Rally wants at least a Portal Key, Silhouette's going to be Silhouette, so she wants all sorts of items, and then Chronos, of course, is looking for a Refresher Orb probably at some point. So, if they don't get stuff on this team, then they could be in some trouble. Hellborn, much less of that. Solid ability to spread some farm out, and this TDL is going to take a lot of it, so it's a good thing that they have heroes like Bubbles who can get by with very little farm. Kraken and Tempest both want a fair bit, but neither of them require a ton, and this TDL likely to be soaking up a lot of the GPM on this Hellborn side. Pretty typical of that hero to get to the 700 GPM mark, perhaps more so than any other hero outside of maybe Soulstealer.
Let's get it on.
And that's going to wrap it up. So I liked Legion's draft until the Rally picked, because I hate Rally, but I don't even mind it that much in this game. Like, it's a fine selection. It's going to provide them some good initiation potential, and they definitely needed that, as well as some more AoE spells, which again they didn't have a ton of. But the Chronos on top of that seems like it's really not a great selection. There were probably better suicide options they could have gone for, and if not, then a man-up dual lane, another solo mid would have been much preferred, just because this Legion team needs way too much farm to get going. I mean, Chronos is not going to be expected to do too much because he's not going to have anything. And Rally, similar story. Like, if he has a good time in lane and gets an early portal key, he may be able to do enough with that to run around the map and gank and get hero kills to keep his farm up without taking stuff from the jungle away from Silhouette and Chronos and Parasite. But there's a very realistic scenario in which Rally gets a 20-minute portal key and just is not a particularly useful hero in this game, outside of how useless he already is just because Rally's useless. But I'm a little bit worried about that. And Crush 1, very good suicide player. We'll see how he deals with this Chronos. It's going to be, like I said, difficult to probably operate with a relatively small amount of farm, and we've also got Torture in the top lane, going to be babysitting this Dark Lady, and Torture, one of the best zoning heroes in the game. Chronos will be forced to use his time leap on more than one occasion, is my prediction, to get away from that impalement. So lane shaping up nicely for this Hellborn side in general, I feel like. Middle lane is going to be the Bubbles. Suicide option is Kraken. So actually that's the only situation where I'm a little bit disappointed in what they choose to go for. Hellborn actually did block out this hard camp, and they will find another one here. Good to spot potential rotations from Parasite. So Kraken gonna have a fair bit of protection in this bottom lane. And Bubbles is, to be fair, a hero that doesn't do too well in 2 versus 1 lanes, but Kraken generally not the strongest suicide option. And he is not particularly great in 2v1 scenarios either, so this is one of the situations where I feel like Bubbles would have been probably better here, not only because I think he would have been better in the suicide lane, but I feel like Kraken would have been better in middle against Rally. I don't think it's realistic that Rally kills Kraken. I don't think Kraken can really kill Rally unless he screws up and doesn't have enough mana for his Compel and therefore gets caught in a Kraken ulti, but there's a reasonable possibility that Bubbles gets caught and killed by this Rally. Because Take Cover is a nice ability, but trying to use it to dodge the Compel is going to require really, really fast fingers. And Q-Zane, I guess, has a potential for that, but I don't know if it's realistic here because the Compel does come out very quickly, and using that on top of the size of the Slam for a Bubbles that's just not known for being particularly tanky in general could be a problem. Just thinking. He does have the range advantage, of course, so he will be able to harass Rally a fair bit, and Rally, of course, much worse at laning ever since his battle experience was nerfed. Currently sitting at 237 GPM, so not bad on the CS in general, actually keeping up with Bubbles pretty much evenly. And this Bubbles actually misses his CS right there, for no reason. Top lane, Chronos, unsurprisingly, like I said, being forced to time leap away from the impalement, actually still taking a lot of damage as a result of it. As Torture is positioning himself very well. They will lose lane control here, at least a little bit, so Chronos is going to be getting some experience at the very least, and perhaps even some CS. We'll see how much he can actually grab. Just 108 GPM for him, no huge surprise. Pingu at 260, and he is in fact the top farmer in the game. So, well done to him. Bottom lane, it's going to be the Silhouette and Glacius up against this Kraken, who's currently at 90 GPM, so having a pretty similar time to that Suicide Chronos. And in the bottom lane, different guy on the Silhouette, having a pretty similar time to the Dark Lady. So, looks like at this point, a lot of this game is going to come down to the jungle farm and the mid. And I would expect the mid to be won by... I can't tell. It's going to depend. Bubbles can kill Rally, Rally can kill Bubbles. It's going to be dependent on who gets the runes and who gets the better initiation. And really who gets the luck, or possibly the rotation from their team. But based on pure lane hero matchups, I feel like it's difficult to predict. Maybe some of the geniuses in Twitch chat can tell me. But Parasite actually having some issues in the woods. He's only at 175 gold per minute, and it's going to be a bit of a problem. You look at the Tempest on the other side, 250 at 3 minutes into this game. So Boss farming quite well, and should be continuing to increase his GPM. And wouldn't be surprised to see him at the typical 280 plus gold per minute at 7 or 8 minutes, which is pretty much exactly where he wants to be. Not bad. Walking Courier, notable here, and I'd really like that to be upgraded. I've seen too many ground couriers die in the last couple of days, or get really close to it. And so things going the way of RmR very slightly in the early going here. The jungle advantage is in their favor, as is mid. And both of those things pointing to a strong laning phase from the guys on Ride My Rocket. WoG are going to have to take their slight advantage in the short lane and suicide and turn that into something else. Currently RmR are up in GPM and experience overall, but only very slightly, so not too much to be gleaned from that information in terms of where this game is going. And also pretty passive play as well. As we see, this Word of Sight obviously going to be able to prevent Kraken from dying. He does just go down and pick up the rune in the bottom lane. It was a refreshment. Top lane rune has already been picked up. I don't know what it was or who got it. Bubbles currently seeing a double damage, so that will be it. As he's already got his bottle, and he's going to pick up boots here as well. So Bubbles definitely winning this middle lane. Rally has a bottle of his own, but no boots. And wouldn't be surprised to see Bubbles maintain lane control and the CS advantage as he pushes into Rally's tower here. Gonna get a bit of damage on it from the cannon. Silhouette has lost lane control here. Actually taking a lot of tower damage here. Gonna be charged into the cliff, and no! If Kraken had the splash off cooldown right there, that would have been a kill. Or if he had reacted a little bit quicker, it could have been a kill. But his timing, not the greatest, and really didn't have a particularly good angle for the charge either. I don't think there was a realistic possibility of stunning Silhouette or keeping him in tower range for much longer. And actually, Sil gonna man up here. Kraken to charge him back into the tower though, and is that gonna be enough? The tower attack will follow him and get the kill. That's pretty funny. And obviously extremely horrible for WoG. That is more or less the last thing that you can allow to have happen. Is your short lane dual lane to lose a kill to the suicide hero on the carry. Like, that's bad. That's bad. Here's what I'm gonna go with. TDL chasing down this Kronos actually, and as a result losing some time to farm. He was pushed all the way into the tower, so it's actually not that bad, as he was pretty much just trying to make use of his time, and perhaps getting a kill on Kronos would have been a more efficient use than just sitting and watching the tower kill a bunch of creeps. But nonetheless, Kronos distracting him a little bit from the lane, and that's a good thing to do as a suicide, obviously. If you can prevent, even if you prevent yourself from farming like that, if you can stop the opposing team's short laner from getting CS, that's a worthwhile trade. Because in general, they're going to do better than you. But Kronos at 150 GPM here, which isn't bad, but like I said, this is a greedy lineup on the Legion side, and he's going to have to do better than that if he wants to have a significant impact in this game, because he's just straight up not going to get a lot with the Silhouette and Parasite in play. Both of them will very efficiently farm the woods and the Ancients, so just most of the resources are going to be piled into those two heroes. And to be honest, if resources do get put in the hands of Kronos, is actually Glacius in the middle lane could be in a lot of trouble. Shelter forward from Bubbles, and there's pretty much no way Glacius is surviving this. The Illusion's helping a lot in terms of taking the tower damage as well, so Elgul trying to survive, but level 6 Bubbles against a level 3 Glacius one-on-one. It's pretty easy to see where that engagement's going. Top lane, Kronos could be in some trouble, gets continuously silenced by the Dark Blades. Chain reactions do connect, and the Impalement's there, but they're actually going to try to kill this Dark Lady. Rally is here with the Seismic Slam and Compel. It's going to be enough for the kill. They will get the counter kill on Kronos. That's one down. Tempest here looking for the Tempest hole. That's one that's going to fall. Tempest actually gets the hole onto 2 as Parasite finally dies. Rally has the Compel available in a second, and he will be just fine. So ends up being a 2-for-1 in favor of the Hellborn team. But the loss of their short lane hero, not exactly what they're looking for, even if they do lose their mid and their suicide. Probably pretty even in the end. A Seismic Slam gonna kill the Tempest, so that ends up putting this definitely in favor of WoG, as Rally picks up the kill onto Boss.
Set him up and knock him down.
Okay. I completely missed that because for some reason, Torture's running around with no health, and
set him up and knock him down.
Haste rune on Rally. That's what's going to happen. So the rotations from WoG actually very, very good. And you can see the golden experience lead still in favor of the guys on RmR, but that's an engagement and a series of engagement that they really need to take on Wake Up Gods if they wanted to prevent this from snowballing the way last game did. So it's nice to see them, you know, having something fail in game 1. They have a more traditional lineup in game 2 here. I think something that works a little bit better. It gives them a lot more late game presence, and I generally prefer lineups that allow you to at least allow you to go into the late game, which really last game they couldn't do. They seem to have overcorrected a little bit, to be fair, but oh well. And Parasite gonna work his way around here onto the Kraken. Silhouette is here as well, and the rotation from Glacius is also there. We'll see if Kraken can get out of this. He's going to try to jump on out. Glacius going to eat the chain reactions, actually, as well as the impalement, and he could die if he just takes all this damage. Glacius barely going to fall. Kraken does die to the time leap. He gets the release of Kraken off onto Parasite, who's going to fall thanks to the bubbles coming into the side. Chrono Field onto 2 heroes, but we'll see if anybody actually dies. Yes, it is Rally with the Compel, getting the kill onto Torture. And Bubbles here going to try to lock somebody down. He does not have a Kelp Field available, though, so can't do too much. Ends up being a 2 for 2 in the end, as both teams lose a support and a core. Probably in favor of the Hellborn side, as they lost the Kraken in exchange for the Parasite. But actually, as I look at it now, Kraken's farming substantially better than this Parasite, so that might have, in fact, been in favor of the guys on WoG. Then again, the fact that Parasite's farming so poorly is a whole other matter in itself, which I don't really understand. His jungle wasn't contested for the most part. He was blocked out here in this hard camp, and then he also had a ward of sight up here that stopped him from being able to gank this Kraken, but he still could have ganked other lanes. He could have transitioned to the other wards if he was having that much trouble. And with one camp blocked, there's really no reason he should have been at that low a GPM. Parasite just straight up farms better than that, so maybe his spawns were absolutely terrible. I don't know what the problem was. Kraken gonna find Rally and Glacius here. Actually, Rally's DD'd, so him coming back in was a really terrible idea. Okay, that DC. Well, I think there's a setting you can turn on that says when you DC, you just run straight back to base, so maybe Cookie should turn that on. Top lane, meanwhile, the other team's Suicide might be in some trouble, as 3 heroes are sort of trying to collapse onto him. This Word of Rev here, I don't believe it spots the Word of Sight. No, it does not. So just barely out of range and actually expires there as well. But Chrono's going to find Torture. Torture only level 5 and Chrono's level 8. He will get the teleport out, and no time lock available from Chrono, so it will be successful. Nice presence of mind from the Forgotten One, realizing that there was no stun available. Although Chronos actually just got the Chrono Field back, so he probably couldn't have been sure that there wasn't an ult available, because I would imagine he does not have that perfect a sense of the ulti cooldown timing on Chronos. I don't know, maybe he does. Maybe he's just that good. Nonetheless, makes an efficient getaway. Bottom lane, Kraken continuing to farm it up. Currently sitting on Steam Boots, a power supply, mana battery, and a bottle. So plenty of regen here, and lots of fight-oriented items. Likely looking for his portal key as his next item, but only 170 gold, so not especially close to it. And probably about 8 to 10 minutes away from picking that item up at his current rate of farm, which probably won't get much better considering they have a TDL to prioritize. Bubbles, on the other hand, currently sitting at 1600 gold, and he should have his PK relatively quickly, actually. 320 GPM for him. And that's far superior, obviously. Chronos in the top lane, gonna get the ult onto 2 heroes. We see Parasite already here, will be silencing out the Tempest, and that's a 1 easy kill. Rally teleport, really not necessary, but I don't think they saw that, so Rally might try to hide himself. There is a Word of Sight back here, and actually bottom lane Cookies dies, so let's take a look at that. He drops the Loose Kraken onto Silhouette, tries to charge him back in the tower, does do so with Silhouette, tanky enough to survive with 61 health, and Silhouette actually has a Nullstone recipe. He's going to buy a teleport. So he can buy the ultimate orb from the side shop. Top lane, meanwhile, Kelfield onto 2. They do get the kill onto Chronos, and Parasite can jump inside of a creep, which dispels his chance to get stunned. And that'll be it. And over here, nice counter actually on a Word of Sight that isn't commonly placed, but Elgol realizing that Warnside probably had vision down there because of their back off, without the possibility of them having seen Rally without a ward, and he's like, they probably got something. Middle lane, Bubbles in a lot of trouble, eating the Seismic Slam. Actually, no, he doesn't, and he's going to get out of here. Seismic Slam was cancelled right there, and I guess he assumed the take cover was going to come through. Compel stuns 2 seconds. Seismic Slam charge is 1 second, so not really sure what that was. Sorry, my mouth is really dry for some reason. Usually it's not this bad. Having to get some water. Pingu up top might be getting set up on. Chrono Field available in about 8 seconds. And Glacius off to the side looking to assist in terms of damage. Actually, they do get Mots. And they're going to stop his legendary streak as he goes for the double damage room. But actually, the chain reaction did hit. Seismic Slam going to be cancelled by the Tempest Glacial Blast, and he is killed. That's the beauty of rewinding replay, so I can be a failure as a cameraman. And bottom lane, it will be the Silhouette getting a kill on this tier 1 tower, sending her illusion away. She realizes she's got plenty to be able to tank this tower and kill it, and just swap out if she wants to, right into the woods. Or maybe she'll head back. Middle lane, similar stuff happens, so tower trading goes in favor of the Hellborn side, as that mid tower is much more valuable than a long lane tower. And still going to stack the woods here. That second one's not going to be successful, but this one will. So, actually, wow, it was. I'm surprised. Usually that late you can't get the stack off. Not bad. And this will allow her to clean up and continue to increase her farm. 420 GPM actually on the Silhouette, so after that Bloodlust, she's really done a very good job of coming back. Top farmer in the game, and TDL on the other side actually not taken off to a significant degree. Has a Sustainer, and is only about 400 gold off of, or 300 gold or so off of, no, 500 gold. One of them hundreds. Some amount of gold off of her Rune Cleaver. It's 1200 for each broadsword, so she's 350 gold off. 450 gold off. I majored in math, you guys. Inside, Rally in the middle could be in some trouble. Bubbles actually gets the silence on nothing, so pretty obvious that they were setting up the gank there. I assume he just didn't hit his portal key and therefore failed. And top lane, meanwhile, actually Chrono Ultimate going on to the TDL, but there's not enough follow-up here, and TDL just going to charging strikes away, so Chronos, a little bit of mistiming there, and actually the haste from Glacius is going to come through, and Crush could be in a lot of trouble. 2-man on the Kelp field, and Tempest going to lock him down. Parasite, look at the face hug. Torn of Darkness goes through, but Boss still going to die. I wouldn't be surprised if Chronos takes the counter death, and now Rally trying to lock down this TDL. Gets the juke, actually, is in the bottom lane. Cookies in the crack and dies once again. Bubbles now in a really bad place. Will get stunned and killed by the Seismic Slam. TDL in some trouble, charging strikes away with the Ghost Marchers, and she should be fine as she gets back onto the tower. And they will kind of want to dive that, but they realize pretty quickly they're not going to catch her, so not worth. And in the end, they get 3 hero kills on the Hellborn side in exchange for just a Chronos. So WoG with a really nice team fight, and they're right back in this game. Actually, so it's two hero kills. I was wondering why the third death was there, but it was the bottom lane Kraken dying to the Silhouette. And WoG looking like they want to force a game 3 here. So a little bit iffy in the early landing phase, but since then they've really recovered in this game. Obviously Silhouette doing extremely well, and Chronos at 200 GPM, which is fine. It's not particularly great, and he's going to want to be farming a little bit better than that. The same goes to the Parasite, but Rally's doing quite well for himself, and this greediness so far doesn't seem to have hurt them. Parasite picking up the puzzle box there as well. He's got a Blood Chalice and Ghost Marchers on top of that. So he's geared to some extent and will be valuable in these team fights now with the puzzle box under his control. Please somebody stack these Ancients. Nope. Okay. Stu, if I knew you were rubbing your nipples, then I never would say anything to you. I'd just let you do that. And ask you to take video. Top lane tower will be pushed in by the creeps, but pretty much the entire Legion team is up here. Only Silhouette, who's really made the bottom lane her home, is elsewhere. And she's just a teleport away if she goes to grab one from the side shop. So wouldn't be surprised to see the Legion team actually decide to take a team fight here. They do have ultimates available for all of their heroes except for the Silhouette, which at this stage isn't that big a deal. She wants to use her illusion for more important things than saving it for a team fight. It's quite understandable why they want to do that. But Parasite in the GG cannon. And it's going to be Chronos teleporting away actually in the bottom lane as they try to catch out the Silhouette. Kraken ultimate did not catch her and she tree grapples through. Here's the Kraken hole, her ulti onto 2, and now Silhouette all of a sudden isn't going to be able to do a lot. Glacius ultimate, a ton of damage onto Pengu. That's a death and a second one onto the Kraken. Bubbles is able to finish off the Silhouette as apparently I can't talk anymore. Chronos going to jump forward with the time leap, but the Keltfield stun is sufficient to prevent Bubbles from getting aggressed on further. But no, rallies there with the portal key. Nice take cover, stop the stun, but Base Hug's going to help finish him off, and Tempest not going to be able to get a kill despite the use of the Glacial Blast. He does not have a hole up, and 3 heroes dead on the Hellborn team, and WoG taking a lead here, and not an insubstantial one either. So we're approaching 20 minutes into this game, and WoG pretty far up, which is kind of surprising. As I said, I really thought their lineup was a little bit too greedy, but they found a way to make it work. All of their heroes are getting at least somewhat of something close to a decent farm, and that includes the Silhouette, who's farming quite well. So still a greedy lineup, I think, but they're definitely making it work. And if this game continues the way it is, and it seems like it's getting more and more in WoG's favor, then there's no reason why we shouldn't be forced to go to a game 3 here. I had my Rocket up 1-0 in this series already, but not looking nearly as dominant as they did in Game 1. And as you look at the GPMs in general, you can see them consistently fall off on the Hellborn side. Legion side have a similar thing going, but they just have more farm across the board, so it's a better situation for them. And once again, top, they're baiting this Chronos. And they're baiting him pretty hard. This also means that Silhouette and Rally are not farming. Now, they do have the 2 top GPMs on their team, and 2 of the top 3 in the game, as Torturer is going to be caught out. Actually, Chain Reactions do go through, and Forgotten One should be okay here. Rally has the PK available, though, and this could still be bad. Impalement gets popped. Chronos is available, yep, and Forgotten One is going to be chased down and killed by Silhouette. Hellborn Tower also falling in the top lane, so Hellborn side continuously getting pushed back, and I really like the aggression and the decision-making from this Legion team. They are keeping the pressure up. Bubbles getting a little aggressive here with the portal key forward, and then he's going to shell surf away. Should be okay as Rally's Compel is down, but there's the portal key into the Demoralizing Roar, and Rally actually could be in some trouble now as they drop the Blitz Kraken, but the ultimate from Chronos going to hit 2 heroes, but not the Kraken. Rally's still able to get out as they kill the Bubbles. TDL going to get frozen before she can kill the Rally. Compel forward, and the man up from Mott's is successful. 2 dead on the Hellborn side. Chronos can jump forward a really long time leap onto this Tempest, who could be in a lot of trouble actually as Bubbles comes back in. He did not die, remember. And he did die, excuse me, but he bought back. And that's actually not going to be a particularly successful buyback as they get no hero kills out of it. They forced the Legion side to back off and maybe prevent a death on Tempest. I don't know if he would have died anyway. But aggressive buyback there from Bubbles, and interesting. So, rotations from the Legion side continue to be very good, and Bubbles going to catch this Silhouette out with double damage, so wow, she died real fast. Nullstone, not very helpful against bubbles. He has precisely 0 targeted spells. And top lane, TDL continuing to not farm, so she has picked up her Rune Cleaver along with her Abyssal Skull, and she can fight a little bit in this game, especially since she has a lot of teammates that can do a fair bit to lock people down, so her Charging Strikes and Rune Cleaver combination can do a crap ton of damage. But she just needs to be farming more than that. She needs to be continuously in the woods, taking stacks, taking ancients, all sorts of stuff, but she can't. I mean, you look at the Legion side, and the jump potential for them is absolutely ridiculous. You have Silhouette with a portal key, you have Rally with a portal key, and you have Chronos, so there's a ton of long-range engagement possibilities, and TDL's been jumped and counter-killed way too many times for her to feel safe anymore, and you can certainly understand why she's hiding all the way back here. She actually cut her way into the forest, as I don't know why. I'm not really sure what she's doing up here. She's continuously losing time to farm. Her team is not coming to set anything up, so this is really weird from Pengu. Oh. Anyway, Seismic Slam in the top lane. Gonna go through on Pengu, but he will be able to survive. Just enough health to survive that jump. Bottom lane, Parasite gonna back everybody off as he pops his puzzle box finally, but Torture taking some damage from the face hug, and they're gonna find a ward here as well, just about to expire. So, WoG continue to expand their lead. And item progression on the Legion side is pretty typical. Obviously, Portal Key and Nullstone early combination from Silhouette. Looks like she's going for a Geometer's Bane now as she's picked up the Firebrand. Chronos' first item Refresh Orb will be the choice for him as he's picked up the Arcana, so would expect to see the Sustainer coming out next. And I would prefer to see the Sustainer as a first item in general, but obviously feeling like he's got some mana issues and some damage issues more than anything else. Top lane, actually, Mods dies to the TDL. Let's go back and look at that. Just jumped by Charging Strikes, and a ton of damage is there. Taint Soul also helping. 2 teleports coming in, but that long duration on it is a problem. Silhouette gonna grab the Tree Grapple and the Portal Key with the dodge on the stun. Tempest Hole on 2, actually, and we'll see if they can counter this. Backtracks are there for Chronos as the face hug is not gonna be enough. And we'll see if they can actually get a kill onto Tempest. They're chasing down Silhouette. Chain reactions, I don't think they hit, but Silhouette, Illusion gonna fall, and there goes Sil as well. Tempest barely gonna get out of there. Glacius all of a sudden in a lot of trouble. Gonna put the Glacial Downpour there, nearly getting the kill onto Tempest, but still gonna fall in the end. And that engagement just all of a sudden, everything going horribly for the Legion side as they went in one by one, trying to chase down that Dark Lady who got away pretty damn easily, actually, but a nice Tempest Hole, and the surprise portal keys from the Hellborn team, notably that Tempest. They were not expecting that, and that 2-man hole was crucial in turning things around, so very nicely done from Tempest. Getting that PK actually a while ago. Now he has 1,300 gold built up after that, and only 250 GPM, so he certainly couldn't have been showing. He must have had it for a while without showing it. And his stealthiness there definitely paid off, and an extremely favorable team play for RmR. I'm also going to get a tier 2 tower out of this, so not only do they win the team fight, but some objective-based gaming, and they pick up a long lane 2nd tier tower as well. Obviously one of the least valuable towers in the game, but hey, tower is a tower. And all of a sudden, they've cut that lead from WoG, and they are now up in gold, and still behind in experience, but much less so than before. As I mentioned, Legion might have expected it, but since 10 minutes, really, I just completely didn't notice it. I don't know, I'm not paying attention, all that much attention to items. So yeah, they must have known about it if he's had it since 10 minutes, but I've never seen him use it before, I don't think. I don't know if 10 minutes is accurate. He has 700 plus gold right now, and he's at 260 GPM. I don't think he's had the PK for 10 minutes. Or 20 minutes or whatever. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm solo casting. It's harder to pay attention to everything.
The Hellborn have overrun a Legion FOB.
But I really don't think they expected him at portal key there, or they didn't expect him to be where he was, because that Tempest hole was right on target and they were grouped up. Maybe they just got tunnel vision and they didn't think about it or something like that. But regardless of what it was, very nice play from Boz. And in the middle lane, Silhouette and Parasite in a sort of slow push this tower. Nice deny actually there from Qzane. It's not easy to do. Denying against Parasite is usually hell. And actually, Ancient's going to be taken here as well as Pingu's going to pick up a triple stack, and he's going to be at 440 GPM, so actually taking over the farm crown from Silhouette. Legion side going to explore the Hellborn Woods, going to try to find somebody to pick off, but the entire Hellborn team is in the bottom lane. Perhaps looking to push a tower. But the other thing I was going to say was not necessarily expected that Tempest would have a PK at this point, or that he would even go the PK route. He actually went push book, which is a little strange, and you could certainly see him getting the Astrolabe, especially with a vessel or with a Blood Chalice build. So at his low GPM, it was entirely possible that he would go for the Astrolabe or the Portal Key or something like that. And okay, Courier nearly dying. That's pretty funny. And there's the Chronos hole. Gonna get onto 2. Tempest ultimate in the background is gonna catch a couple as well as the release Kraken. That's 1 and 2 dead right off the bat. No, the backtracks are there. Still gonna be a death. Elgo also falling. So that time, I'm guessing they knew about the portal key, and yet, okay, that was just massively horrible miscommunication on Legion side. 3 heroes go down there, try to initiate. They drop the Chronos ultimate. And
the Hellborn have overrun a Legion FOB.
That was what?
The Legion barracks are liquidated.
Anyway, Rally is going to be there, and he's going to try to counter push this here. The Relics have already been killed, though. We'll see if they can get a kill. Yeah, a nice tablet. Going to stop the Seismic Slam. Tempest helping his buddy out as Kraken's mana is continuously being drained. He's definitely going to fall here, realizing that pretty quickly. Might as well just run the distraction so the rest of his team gets out safely, and that's a pretty big Rax kill right there. So all of a sudden, WoG, who were looking like they were in a really good position in this game, get run over by the portal keys in the Hellborn side. There are 3 of them plus the TDL charging strikes, and their ultimates, when used together, and they've been used together extremely well in the last couple of fights, have just absolutely destroyed a WoG team that seems much more uncoordinated all of a sudden, and for absolutely no reason. I mean, that fight in the bottom lane, the fight in the top lane, they were going in 1 by 1. They weren't together as a team. It didn't seem like they had a coordinated game plan. Silhouette was pushing the tier 3 tower in the top lane, while Parasite was running down the middle of the lane, or the middle of the map, trying to get to the bottom lane, and Chronos, Rally, and Glacius were initiating and dying. So clearly some teammates on different pages on this Legion team, and if they want to get back into this, and they're by no means out of it, but all of a sudden they're in a much worse position than they were, 5 minutes ago. They're gonna have to be much more coordinated than they were in the last several engagements, because that's not how you're gonna win a lot of HoN games.
The Legion have overrun a Hellborn FOB.
And Ancient's going to be stolen here as well by the Hellborn side. That's not going to help. They do manage to kill a tier 2 tower in the bottom lane, but the gold swing still favors the Hellborn team, I think, in general, in that trade. And obviously the Hellborn farming a renewable resource while the Legion are taking a non-renewable resource in tower gold. And as I said before, tier 2 tower in the long lane for a team is generally not particularly valuable for anything other than the gold. It's the map control it provides is just not all that great. It's a little bit better on this side because of the Kongor pit, but still not a huge thing. Invis Rune on Bubbles. Going to do some scouting here. There is no Word of Revelation available, so they have no idea he's here. If Parasite popped his... Sorry, there's a ward of Rev up on this hill, but Bubble's staying pretty far away from it. And if Parasite popped his puzzle box, they would obviously see that. He's getting close now. Now he's underneath it. Dust of Revelation's going to go through, but actually Bubble's going to get the PK on out, and he will be fine. As he walked under the ward of Rev, got dusted, but no engagement going to go through. That's a good point. Yes, PDL has picked up a Shrunken Head along with Frostburn. And going to be pretty big for him. Obviously going to stop a lot of Parasite damage. And the Glacius as well, but Silhouette and Rally still going to go through that Shrunken, so... Nice pickup. Not super optimal. I think he's going to be more mobile in these team fights, and that's probably what he's looking to do. He just doesn't want to get stunned. I believe the Rally stun will still hit him, though. Is it totally physical? And a 2-second stun, so maybe it's not a physical stun. Maybe it's just physical damage. Anyway, TDL going to jump in as the Hellborn and Legion trade towers. Anyway, Tempest going to drop the Glacial Blast onto Rally, and we'll see if they actually get anything else out of this. Chronos Ultimate onto 2 heroes. Tempest still looking for the hole, as the Kelpie in the background is doing a lot. Glacius Ultimate actually doing a lot onto the Bubbles as well. Release the Kraken, though, and Moth's dead. There goes Lucky, and Elgol. Only 2 surviving so far, and they're both the Agi carry-oriented heroes. Silhouette getting chased down by Bubbles and Dark Lady. That's another kill, and all of a sudden Chronos going to be forced to port away. It's a 4-man wipe in favor of the Hellborn side. And Silhouette immediately buying back, because this is going to open up Conwar for the Hellborn team. Double damage rune is in the bottom lane, and somebody's going to pick that up. It looks like it's going to be Bubbles. He wants to bottle it, give it to TDL so she can sip the bottle, and go in and kill this Conwar. So the buyback on Silhouette will allow her to keep her farm up. Damage is physical, stun is magical. Yeah, so BKB does cancel this stun. That's what I figured. Anyway, there's just absolutely no way the Legion side can stop this Conwar kill. Chronos Ultimate is not available. They're trying to do whatever they can, but actually Silhouette needs to be a little bit careful, and Nullstone will be deactivated by the Taint Soul. And if she jumps in here to try to steal this token, and her timing isn't perfect, or if that happens and she dies because of the silence and the double damage, and that's really bad. Actually, a Storm Spirit going up on the Chronos, and that's on Tempest. He's got a Storm Spirit and a Push Book on top of his PK, so he's Utility City. Yeah, I agree. The Shrunken Head on Dark Lady, I think, is really not worth it, and not a particularly good decision. If he had some issues with survivability in this, I actually would have preferred Nullstone. It's going to do a lot more against Parasite and Glacius than it would, or it's going to do pretty much the same thing against Parasite and Glacius as a Shrunken Head would, and it's going to provide you a little bit more general tankiness and survivability. And if you really are that concerned about surviving in these team fights, then straight Heart. I mean, it's more expensive, I guess, but only by 1,600 gold or so, and TDL is currently nearing 600 GPM, so it's a couple more minutes of farming for her, and she has a Heart over a Shrunken. And I think if she gets Heart on top of the Dawnbringer and Abyssal Skull, she's more or less unkillable. Frostwolf Geo would have worked as well. I think Geo's not super great on TDL. She doesn't make too much use out of it, to be honest. It would have been interesting for the Dispel, for the Silence and stuff like that, I guess. But, Bubble's gonna jump in. Not gonna find anybody, but TDL in the front lines has a Token of Life. No interest in farming. I'd rather just kill towers. Upward side do have 2 tier 3 towers down, so they would probably very much like to continue to push racks. They obviously do have 1 set in the bottom lane, but their base is a little bit exposed if they have a 4-team fight now. They have all of their ultimates available, as well as a token on the Dark Lady, of course, so they're not feeling particularly concerned about this. Silhouette actually gonna port into her illusion and die! I was like, I thought she was porting out of her illusion when she made the little... What the hell was that? Anyway, outside Kraken, gonna be able to find Kronos, but he time leaps away. TDL still has Dark Blades available, but actually in animation of hitting Kronos when he gets his ulti down. But there's a 25% damage reduction for targets inside the field, as Rally Ultimate just does nothing to this Dark Lady. And okay, I'm going to call a CC vote. Kronos Ultimate down. Not really sure what his plan is here besides I'm going to die. They pop the Storm Spirit on Tempest, and that's actually going to be a CC vote as Tempest comes back with the hull, but doesn't do too much. And
The Legion barracks are liquidated.
boy, that game turned around. So, Wake of Gods, game 1, real bad for them, but WoG, a good team, and one where you can basically just say, alright, we had a bad game, that's fine. Game 2, probably much more disturbing from their perspective, because they had an iffy early laning phase, and they were coming out of it, and they did very, very well. They rotated well, their team communication was good, they were continuously finding pickoffs, and they built themselves a pretty strong lead for a team that should have been able to transition into the late game quite well. And then they had some issues with what they were doing. It didn't seem like they were on the same page in terms of what fights they wanted to take, and that's a very dangerous area to go into. That sort of disharmony, it makes it very, very easy to lose games, and that's really why it's so hard to play in TMM, is because you're playing with people that you don't know very well, and your team coordination is just crap. So it's harder to do pretty much anything. So I mean, that's really the main difference between TMM and competitive. There's a lot of players in TMM who are good, but it's harder to win. That aside, this is the kind of game that I think WoG looks at and they're like, we might have some deeper issues than what we thought, because they were making some pretty serious errors that cost them a game that they probably shouldn't have lost. So I would say you guys need to get together and talk about what your game plan is in this series. Maybe they're not scrimming enough. I don't know how seriously they take competitive HoN. Completely fair if they just show up and play their matches and don't want to do anything outside of that. Individually, they're skilled enough to do that and remain in Gold Division. But if they want to advance, I think, into Diamond, or to have any success in Diamond whatsoever, if they happen to get there, which at this iteration I would say they probably can't, then they're going to need to do a little bit more than what we saw in that series. Either way, they played, so they didn't play all that well. I like to say nice series from both teams, but RmR had a few holes here and there. I can forgive them a little bit more because they haven't been playing together for particularly long. It's the same as sort of true of WoG. They did just get rid of Jonathan and add different guy. Lucky is also their 6th man, as he's not usually on the team, I don't think. So maybe they had some issues in that regard as well, and that's why it was just an off series for them. But this is only the loser bracket round 3, and to be honest, I sort of expect more of WoG. Gold Division is pretty deep, so maybe I shouldn't, as yeah, I mean, this may make sense in terms of where they should bow out. But oh well, they do in fact lose, and they will be out of Gold Cycle 6 as they drop this series 0-2 to RmR. We'll have to be feeling pretty decent about their chances, considering they're a relatively new team, but they're able to take down a good team in WoG like this. So, well done to them. That's going to wrap up this series, so thanks for watching, guys.